Yeah, your time starts now.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, General.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. General, the first question that I would like to pose to you relates to the matter that you and Advocate Mkhwetsa were dealing with about a copied email on the letter of the directive, an email that was written or is written as home 1340, well, home 13404@gmail.com. So really my question is that I think earlier on you said that you were not aware who is this other person. And really what I would like to check with you is what has been done about this, because you are part of the top brass of our police, and an email coming to you, which is coming from the minister's office, but also you've got other people who are copied here whose identity is unknown to you. So what has been done to ascertain who might have been these people?
Thank you, Chief Whip. I did investigated or check around, and I also spoke to the Chief of Staff immediately after speaking to the National Commissioner on two aspects. One was the leakage of the information that the Chief of Staff was indicating that General Mkhwanazi called him and they spoke about other matters. I was establishing the facts in that regard. I was also checking, because he is the sender of this main email, to whom was this email that is marked home belong to, and why did he send to a Gmail address when the matter relates to official matters that should be confined. And me making that establishment was because I suspected that if there is a leak to the media, what if it is this address that we do not know? And if my recollection, it happened long time ago, I think he did indicated who the email belonged to. According to him, it's one of the staff in the office of the minister, which I then advised at that moment that maybe for going forward and next time he must refrain, because we don't know who this Gmail belongs or will be intercepted by the cloud of the Gmail, hence there is a leak. So to avoid further leakage of information, he must refrain from using private addresses on official matters, and particularly the sensitive matter of this nature.
Thank you, but you can't recall who the name of the person was and maybe their responsibility in the department.
I can't recall a chairperson, but I think it is one of the staff that was in the minister's office, and I know the name, but I don't want now to indicate the name, and it is not that wrong person. I don't want to give a wrong information, but at the time that I made a call, I think my mind also focused on dealing with other issues and dealing with this matter, but the name was given by the Chief of Staff at the time.
Thank you. When General Spear appeared before us, we asked him a question as to, I think I'm the one or one of my colleagues posed that question to him, as to why did he not see it fit to talk to you when he receives the communication from the office of the National Commissioner. And I think we asked a question to him, why did he omit that, talking to you, because you were acting at that time? And his explanation, as far as I can recall, was that, well, if correspondences are coming from the same office, I just made an assumption that these correspondences are occasioned or as a result of the directive of the National Commissioner and by extension, the acting National Commissioner. But in your opinion, because it sounded a bit strange to me, that when the National Commissioner is away and somebody is acting, a major decision like this one can be conveyed to a Lieutenant General in a position of SBIA, and he takes certain steps without any direct verification with an acting person at the time. I mean, I don't know how things work in the police, but where I am, it would be expected that either a phone call or whatever that says to a direct person who's in the office, I received this following information, and therefore I'm expected to act accordingly. What is your comment on that?
The reason why I also highlighted it in my statement is because for me, by far, the law will dictate that if a person is appointed in a position in writing, he assumes the same responsibility as the incumbent in the post. Hence, when General Sibia indicated to me that I have already called the National Commissioner, my surprise was, why do you call the National Commissioner when I'm here? But because there is nothing that will say, do not talk to the National Commissioner or do not talk to the person that is on leave. I mean, if the person picks up and responds to the call, you can't say, I did not call. So what he was indicating to me is that I have already called the National Commissioner and I've accepted what he has done, but I did indicate that I will give the directive. As you are entering my office, Brigadier Letuko is going out to give now a formal directive on how to deal with this particular issue at hand.
But what could be, I mean, have you had any, what do I call it? Have you had any major disagreements or, for the lack of a better word, fights with Lieutenant General Sibia? I'm trying to understand why would, in a normal environment, he behaves like that? Because when we were asking him that question, some of us were led to believe that that conduct was occasioned by his intention to do certain things with a particular degree of speed so that some objectives are achieved, whatever objectives that he had set for himself. But in your own view, I mean, why would a colleague of yours suddenly behaves like that? Is there anything in your view that explains that conduct?
I will not know why he acted the manner in which he acted, because, like I say, me and him are appointed deputy national commissioners, irrespective of the period, because he was appointed a year later and took some of the responsibilities that I was doing. But general expectation, when there is a person in the position, you will first verify information. And that was my expectation, that why didn't you verify the expectation and this particular communique with me first, and you engage a person that is on leave? What will the National Commissioner do? Because even signing off, he will not sign off anything. He is on leave and there is a person appointed, unless the minister recalls the National Commissioner that I know you are on leave, but I am cancelling your leave, which often happens. Even myself, if I will be on leave or away, the National Commissioner will say, I'm recalling you, and that will be in writing. So it is the unfortunate conduct that was undertaken at the time, but it is not a practice in the service that you will skip the level that is a leadership level and go to a person that is not there. It's as much as having a direct contact contact with the minister when the national commissioner is in the office. It's as simple as that. But it did not bother me much at the time, although it was a concern immediately as it happened. But in terms of the speed that he wanted to achieve the objective, we have 13 days to compile, or at least 10 days, because it is already on the 3rd, and we are having to produce a report on the 14th. So there was still an ample time for him to do that, considering the fact that the minister's directive did not say come and present on the 7th. The directive said mid-January, and the final or the second bite of this presentation will be done towards the end of the month. So there wasn't any objective or any speed for me. It was just the unfortunate position that he took at the time to contact the National Commission.
On your statement on paragraph 30, I think you are pointing out that you are pointing out that Lieutenant General Spear and the Chief of Staff were opposed to the proposal that Lieutenant General Kumalo had presented, or maybe in a way, if I understand it very well, they were not happy with the processes that were outlined by Lieutenant General Kumalo on how to handle the issues relating to the de-establishment of the PKTT. In your own recollection, what were the arguments they were advancing? What was their views in relation to that matter? The second question would be, and we raised this question, I think, to one of your colleagues, whether in terms of your convention or practice, it is normally that the Chief of Staff of the Minister will participate in that kind of a discussion to the extent that he is alleged to have done. So those are the two questions I have. The reasons they were advancing and the involvement of the Chief of Staff.
Thank you, Chair. What they were advancing, I think is the matter known to them, but the specific words that were said in that meeting, because I participated from beginning to the end of the meeting, is that, but the minister gave the directive that it must immediately be disbanded. So I think from the Chief of Staff, and he even said, it means you are disregarding, or you don't want to implement that the minister have directed. It must happen. I think specifically it was the issue of saying it's like you are defying the minister's instruction, because the minister says it must be disbanded, and this winding down or this gradual demobilization, it's not the directive, and both of them were in agreement. But eventually, I think the minister understood what we're saying, although not well taken, but the minister understood that the processes can be undertaken. Hence, in the conclusion of the meeting was that the team that prepared that presentation must go back and revise, especially to look at that matter of winding down. On the issues of the participation of the Chief of Staff, particularly in this matter, one will expect that is assisting the minister in taking notes, but not getting involved in the discussion. Is the secretary of the minister, the highest secretary of the minister. So in my view, my own personal view, which it can otherwise be disputed, but I don't think it was appropriate for the Chief of Staff to get involved in this type of discussion unless it is the matter of reminding the minister or advising the minister. But we have seen it happening from time to time with Chief of Staff, perhaps with the advantage that he is a trained police officer and he knows, I suspect that he knows what is happening in the environment. Hence, he will be assisting the minister in indicating what must happen. But for me, this was overreach in terms of him being the chief of staff and responding to the national commissioner in the manner that that happened with the two deputy national commissioners. For me, it was a no, because the position of the chief of staff is a chief director in the civil rank or a major general, which is a rank below that of the DNC or the divisional commissioner.
In your experience, since he was appointed as a chief of staff, has Mr. Nkabinde participated in other meetings at that level, in terms of discussion, and to the extent that you will express an opinion that may be contrary to you or others in the higher leadership of the police? Or from your recollection, this was the first time that he engages in a meeting to the extent that he did on this matter?
He did participate in all meetings that we'll have with the minister, because as the chief of staff, there will be directives that the minister is giving into the meeting that needs a follow-up, even to prepare the brought forward system for the minister. I do not recall participation in this manner, but I know he sometimes do participate in some of the meetings, and giving the opinion to a certain level, not to the level. And I think for me, it was the tone that came into that meeting. I'm very sensitive observing the tone that is used when we are engaging in meeting, particularly at the strategic meeting of this level. Hence, I will be able to point out that, but the tone that you are using, it's way too much. And I must say, my first engagement, I think it was in relation to the email that he would have sent himself. That is not related to this matter. I am just recalling backwards, engaging with the chief of staff. And at the time, the reason why I even call him immediately on this one is because it was for the second time when I'm acting that the email of this nature will come, although this one was signed off by the minister. The first one was not signed off by the minister, but the tone of that email was not correct. So what I did in that instance as well, I picked up the phone and called him that, but you don't write this type of emails. You are even keeping evidence if we are sending it on email, and you have emailed to more than 5 people, keeping evidence that any one of us cannot say we did not miss this. And this, I take it, is the communique that was meant for the minister and the national commissioner. So you cannot be writing this type of communique. And the attitude and response in that particular one, he said, if the national commissioner is going to delay in the reports, I will send this type of report again. And I told him that I'm giving up, I'm washing my hands. I was just advising, but I'm taking that you direct this type of attitude every time when I'm acting. I'm wondering if when the national commissioner is in office, you will behave the manner that you are behaving. So if it's meant for him, now that he's not in office, you could have kept that to yourself and only communicate to the minister. Like I say, to the national commissioner, it's not related to this, but I'm just making reflection of the attitude that I have personally experienced with the chief of staff.
Be that, could it be that the reason why he acted in that way? Well, firstly, let me say, it was a bit abnormal, as well as we're listening to what had happened, that a correspondence from the minister would be copied to other people below the national commissioner, because the minister is writing to the national commissioner. And the fact that the email was copied to many other people, 3, 4, 5, whatever the case may be, was a bit abnormal in a way. Because under normal circumstances, the rest of the people who report to the national commissioner should have received the correspondence from the national commissioner, at least in my own view. what do you think could have been the motive behind that? I mean, this argument that he says, no, I'm passing it over to more than one person beyond you as a national commissioner because well, we want to see this thing happening expeditiously, whatever the way he explained it. For me, will not hold water because that can be done if the national commissioner, after certain days, seem not to have entertained what, in his opinion, as a chief of staff, was an urgent correspondence. So what do you think is the motive behind that? Why would the chief of staff act in a way that suggests that he has a low trust on the part of the National Commissioner's office, whether it's you acting or General Masemula was there himself? But why would he behave like that?
It was not that much of an issue for me if it was confined to the office of the National Commissioner, because they should, the PA of the National Commissioner and the Executive Secretariat are assisting the National Commissioner in ensuring that the work happens. And in this case, they will be assisting to make sure that if the National Commissioner misses this email, at least the office will pick up and it will be actioned. And precisely because they should have a level of secrecy in the office of the National Commissioner. So it will be start and end with the office of the National Commissioner. I think the only concern here is any other person other than the office of the National Commissioner, which is the staff in the minister's office. If the minister wanted it to be a ministry issue, I think even the deputy ministers could have been copied that email, but if I have followed the discussion, even the testimony of the minister, he said, I needed him to communicate with the office of the National Commissioner, not others. So I would not know why the other people were copied the same email, but with the explanation that the special advisor, I guided or assisted the minister in the compiling of the note. That is what came in the discussions in the commissions and in the committee. I take that the advisor, perhaps, but that could have been done in other ways than to send the email to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 4 in the office of the National Commissioner, it's 5 people. So already this email is all over the show that is meant for the National Commissioner, and with the sensitivity that it has, if I were the chief of staff, I could have confined the distribution of the email only with the office of the National Commissioner and send the copy to the minister that I have undertaken that instruction that you said I must do. Unlike giving the PAs, the secretaries, even the communicator. I don't know what are the protocols in the office of the minister that will make him to even talk to the communication officer.
In paragraph 6.1 of your statement, General, you indicated that you, as part of your experience, you have managed, oversee the implementation of strategic directions across components and secretariats within SAPS. Now, given what you said on that paragraph, I think it would be fair for me to assume that you are quite knowledgeable about the laws and policies that govern SAPS. So in your understanding, I'm assuming that you would say yes to the statement I've just made. So in your understanding, what is your understanding of the strategic direction in relation to SAPS? You might know that this issue has been very central to the discussion between us and your colleagues, including with the minister. But in your own view, what constitutes strategic direction in relation to SAPS?
There are matters of strategic importance of every organization, which I believe SAPS in its shape and form requires distinction between operational and strategic direction of issues. That will include some of the matters that you need to guide, only to give guidance in terms of strategies to attend. I want to come closer to home on the issues of crime that is happening at certain areas, and what are the important pointers that we need to pick up at the strategic level to assist and guide. But because we have national office, we have provincial office, you expect that at provincial level, it will be where policies are now getting to be implemented. So you develop the strategy or strategic direction at national level, and it will be disseminated to provincial office where crime is happening. And the operations will then be undertaken at the provincial level, either in a form of district teams or in the form of station teams. So you have all these levels, and all of us cannot be operatives. Others need to give guidance, hence the issues of strategic direction. The mentioning of also managing or giving direction to component and secretariats. I have secretariat in a form of not joint secretariat that from time to time, when there are issues that requires a particular focus, will develop what we call not joint instruction that will be communicated with departments that are affected, as well as the policing prof joints in the provinces. The other secretariats will be on the National Crime Combating Forum, which I'm also a chairperson by virtue of the office that I'm occupying. So the direction that is given from the Crime Combating Forum, for an example, what we are currently working on, it's on the organized crime strategy or organized crime plan. So there will be the NCCF instructions. When we do the operational plans, Operation Paseka, as well as Operation Festive Season, which are the simplest ones that will be understandable, there will be national instruction or national directives that will come, NCCF instruction. They will indicate it's national instruction 34 if it is the 34th order of the year. National instruction 34 that you must submit your Operation Paseka operations that will be consolidated at the national office. So this is the type of direction that I'm giving. For an example, if there's a need to convene a meeting, which we had yesterday, to unpack I know that media will want to hear the deployment of the SNDF as directed. It will come from that structure to the provinces that this is what needs to be done. So that is the strategic direction that I'm referring to. And with many other issues, including the binational meetings that we'll have with other countries.
My last question, General, have you ever found yourself in a position where you must carry out what you deem as an unlawful instruction?
Yes.
Are you please share the examples, and also how, we don't have to share all of them, you can choose 2 or 3, and also how were you able to determine that this is essentially an unlawful instruction? And if you carried it out, why did you carry it out? Those are my last questions for you.
I'm trying to think of specific examples of any other instruction other than what we are currently dealing with. But yes, the culture of policing, it's that I was taught you comply and complain later. However, there are instances where I am an expert in an environment. I know what needs to happen where I am operating because I shall have been trained, I shall have undergone various training. In this case, there is operational coordination. There is a course we call OCT, that we train the operatives on how to develop plans, how to mobilize resources, demobilize, where to put those resources. So if the instruction is coming to take the detective to undertake the function that is outside of the detective scope, that will be an unlawful instruction. And
Thank
in
you.
my view, I will not carry out that instruction. I will explain why the instruction cannot be
Thank you so-
undertaken.
thank
So
you
it's
so-
simply no.
Thank
No,
you so much.
you know, the chair is not a caring man. Even if you are not done with the answers, he will stop you. Otherwise, thanks, General. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah. No, it's not my intention to rub salt to your wounds. Honorable Breitenbach, you have requested to leave. Can I check if you have some questions that you quickly want to run with the witness before we release you?
Thank you, Chair. My first question was hijacked by the Honourable Ntuli. General, good morning, good afternoon, I guess.
Good afternoon, honorable member.
In terms of section 207(2), the lawful chain of command of policing work is placed under the command and control of the South African Police Service and within the lawful policing chain of command. Was the decision to disband or restructure the political killings task team taken strictly within that chain of command? And if so, could you please indicate who authorized the decision and under what written directive or policy framework it took place?
Can I request to clarify the question? I hear the 207 and.
Yeah, don't worry so much about 207.
Okay.
Just tell me whether, in your view, you're an experienced member of the South African Police and you have a long history and you've served over a wide range of different policing units. In your experience, in your view, because you must be viewed as an expert.
I must?
You must be viewed as an expert.
Okay.
Was the decision-
Experienced.
Huh?
Experienced.
An expert. If you've been in the police for 36 years, please believe me, you're an expert.
Okay.
There are few people who are more expert than you. Was the decision to disband or restructure the PKTT taken within the chain of command of the police service? Who authorized the decision and under what written directive or policy framework was it taken?
Okay. I don't believe that it was taken through the proper chain of command, as I've indicated even in my statement, that I think should a proper consideration have been done. There are different environments that were affected, especially at the operational point of view, particularly the coordination of the operations. It could have been best that we were convened and those that are affected and expected to deliver on this particular key performance indicator are aware of what will happen and what the repercussions will be. I think with every operation, you need to evaluate what will be the impact of it. So in short, it was not properly communicated in my view, and it could have been done better.
Okay, and given that that's your view, and I presume you held that view from the moment the instruction was issued, is that correct?
Is correct?
What did you do to communicate your view?
The first point of departure was sitting, sitting back, picking up the phone, contacting the National Commissioner that I'm here, I'm acting. I know all the powers conferred to the National Commissioner are now vested in me as acting, and I have signed to be here. But this one, because of the repercussion and implication that it will have, I don't think it can be undertaken in the manner in which it was communicated. So that is the first step that I took, and to convene the meeting with the National Commissioner that I think we need to talk about this, because if you have known about it, why did you not tell me before you go on leave? And he was also surprised.
Thank you. Then, Section 195 of our Constitution, the South African Constitution, requires accountability, transparency, and professional ethics in public administration. I'm sure you're aware of that. Before the PKTT was disbanded or altered, was a formal assessment conducted on how that decision would affect ongoing investigations into political killings?
No, and that was my view in that particular meeting, that can we do the impact analysis with every operation. We had Valumkoti for 18 months. Before the end of the 18 months, what the team presented to me was the impact study or impact analysis, and to do the recommendation, what will happen should we have to stop Valumkoti. That is why even today, Valumkoti is still operational. So it is just an example of one active operation that even PKTT, it should have taken the same form. That can we look at what implication it will have, particularly on the issues of dockets. I think I have indicated on the statement that there are too many players in one case docket that should be considered before you are saying this case docket must be taken to the next person to proceed, whether it is a court docket or is a docket under investigation.
And then, in general, given that that was your view, and that you are the one of the deputy commissioners, was such a study ever conducted? Was such a formal assessment ever done?
No, it was not done.
Why?
Before the directive, that is why the directive requested that there must be a close-up report. So the request was that it must be done. However, before the extension it's requested or it's granted, it needs to be clarified on the application for furtherance of that particular project to continue that, looking at the gravity, looking at the challenges, looking at 1, 2, 3 gaps. We feel that we cannot stop with the operation at this point. But in terms of consolidating and putting one report to say now we have achieved the objective, that was still underway. Hence, the extension was requested and it was granted as such.
What I'm trying to determine, General, is was such an assessment ever done? Is there a document that sets out what the political killings task team set out to do, what it did, how much it achieved, and what it still needs to achieve sensibly before it reaches the end of its shelf life? Is there such a document?
The quarterly reports are meant to, with the development of the plan, you need to have timelines of the reporting. So those reports were done. And they will continue to be done, including the recommendation in terms of whether to stop, if all objectives have been achieved or not.
And to whom are those reports submitted?
To the National Commissioner, who is the accounting officer. And if the minister requires that, he will summon the National Commissioner to do the presentation. In this case, there was an IMC that was to evaluate the operations of PKTT. In my days when I was still in the detective, we used to have those quarterly meetings. We'll go to KZN and presentations will be done. How many people have thus far been arrested, how many cases were resolved, how many cases have been closed. So that is part and parcel of the report to evaluate the objectives of the team.
And those reports are available?
They should be available, yes, because they were done. They are on our system sits.
And how would I go about accessing them?
If requested, I think the team leaders and project manager can get all those reports.
Well,
And some were even presented to the portfolio committee when the request was made that we need to know what PKTT is doing, even to account on the finances and the personnel, because as I say, some of the personnel are coming from other units, and I will not manage people if I don't know where are they and what are they doing.
Oh, thank you. I'll request the reports via the Secretariat. Thank you. Then, given that the police investigations underpin prosecutions, can you confirm that after the PKTT was disbanded, in whatever form it was disbanded, were any ongoing investigations halted, reassigned, or deprioritized, particularly those involving politically connected suspects?
What I know, what came to my attention, is what is now widely known, where dockets were taken to head office. They were, I don't know, inspected, evaluated, or audited by the team. Attempts were made to take them back to KZN, and that is where the whole discussion of the PKTT happened. I think in that period where the dockets were collected from the task team, handed over to the head office team for evaluation, obviously when it comes to the issue of the investigation, it will affect the process flow. If there were other warrants that were to be implemented, effected, or further statements to be taken. So if the dockets were not in their possession, they will not.
Please, please don't stand right in front of me and the witness. Thank you. Just repeat that for me. I couldn't see you. I still can't see you.
In the period where the docket, which is now known that dockets were taken to head office, I believe in that space, if there were witnesses to be approached, if there were warrants to be served, that would have affected. I'm not sure of how long were dockets at head office, but all that I know, because I'm sitting at the same floor as my colleagues, yes, dockets were taken to head office, and I was a detective. I speak to detectives, although they are not reporting to me, but I know that there is a team that collected the dockets from KZN, and they were inspecting those dockets to determine whether to take them to provincial task team or elsewhere.
And then, General, can you confirm that, or not confirm, that no member of the executive, no political office bearer, or no intermediaries acting on their behalf communicated with you regarding the PKTT or any politically sensitive investigation?
No, nobody have communicated the issues of PKTT with me, or any political investigations with me.
Just as a matter of interest, if they did, what would you do?
I will not entertain. I have taken the oath. I'm having the top secret, and investigation is for the police. It's not for any other person, unless his duty, like the Minister of Police, want a briefing. That is the Minister of Police, but any other person does not have any right to demand to be informed of any investigation, and I will not do it.
Thank you, Chair. I'm done. Thank you, General.
Thank you so much. Can we pass the microphone to Honorable Thabo?
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate. Good day, General. You confirmed that during your acting period, you exercised full constitutional authority as a National Commissioner. Is that correct?
It's correct.
And as acting National Commissioner, were you legally entitled to question or refuse the implementation of a directive that you believe to be unconstitutional?
I beg your pardon?
I said, as acting National Commissioner, were you legally entitled to question or refuse implementation of a directive you believe to be unconstitutional?
I believe so, yes.
General, in your original statement, you confirmed that you preceded the directive and issued the internal instructions. It was around between question paragraph 21 and 27. In your supplementary statement, you describe the same directive as political interference affecting the constitutional mandate of SAPS. That was paragraph 20 of the supplementary. Can you explain how you reconcile implementing a directive you now describe as a political interference?
I have indicated earlier that before implementing the directive, because of the nature and the gravity that it will have on operations, the first point of my departure was to contact the National Commissioner to get the directive on how to deal with the matter. And the advice that I got is that in the meantime, we can continue to prepare the reports that will be dealt with, because the minister is expecting a presentation mid-January. And mid-January for me, if I were to put a date to it, will be after the 15th of January. So the implementation of the directive was in preparation to have the meeting that the minister is requesting. And yes, in its form and nature, from the time that it was issued, I took for me that this is an operational matter. And I'm basing these arguments because when the minister assumed office, we had several meetings where the introduction of the management, including the minister, was done. And with his own words, he indicated that I will support the National Commissioner and the team on the endeavors to fight against crime in the country. I have full confidence in the work that you are doing. I will not interfere on operational matters. Mine is to give policy direction, and I am going to do that. So this was said by the minister in more than one occasion. Hence, I'm saying now to give this instruction that for me, it was operational. It was entering into the space that the minister himself said he will not do.
Right, ma'am. So just to see if I understand what you're saying, you knew it was political interference, but you continued with the preparation thereof. Is that correct? Just shortly, yes or no? All right. Do you at any stage have formally record in writing that your concern to the directive constitutional or political interference, was it ever put in writing?
No,
So you have no proof of that,
no,
that you've done that?
no.
Did you seek legal advice before implementing the directive you believed interfered with constitutional policing functions?
No,
Why did you not seek legal advice? You were the acting commissioner. Did you not have legal advice, or you chose not to use it? And I question this specifically because we are sitting here to see how do we strengthen the institution. So understanding the recourse or the reasons of your actions would better enable this committee to make recommendations that actually bolster the institution as a whole.
I think for me, it's because of the directive that I have sought from the National Commissioner that prepare, we will deal with the matter when I come back. So collectively, we will have to take a stance on how to move forward. Because he's the accounting officer, he's not in office, the report is requested mid-January. By that time, we will get a further directive in how to deal with the matter. Personally, I agree, I did not approach the legal service simply because of that phone call that I have made with the National Commission.
General, in hindsight, do you think you should have done that? Do you think you should have consulted legally, considering the situation we find ourselves in now?
If I were to turn back the clock, I think I would have said at the time with legal service, contact the National Commissioner or even request. And I must indicate, this is the first day that the National Commissioner has to take leave. That is the 31st, the first day I must start to act. And on the handing over, no mention was made on the outstanding matters that need to be attended to. Hence, I took guidance that how do I deal with this matter going forward?
General, on that point, do you think it was coordinated that way purposefully?
I think it was coordinated.
And for what reason do you think it was coordinated that way? Who was trying to achieve what? In very short, please, my time.
I think with what came to now the discussion up to this point, there was a mention of back and forth of this particular directive. Hence, I believe there was a coordination. One, two, the meeting of the 6th, what turns out in that meeting, particularly where you have the ministry and you have the police management, you will think that we need to be on the same page as the police management, particularly because my colleague, Deputy National Commissioner, Crime Detection, and the National Commissioner have engaged in this matter. And them speaking from different pages of the book was to say, maybe my colleague knows something that we do not know as the management of the police.
General, when you state that the Chief of Staff and General Sabia was adamant about the disbandment, I think it's in paragraph 30, were you in a disagreement with him?
Yes, I was. I was in support of the gradual or winding down of the team.
Did you-
Simply because I said it in the meeting, yes.
Did you formally oppose there at the meeting, and did you give any written opposal to this recommendation?
Not written, but we were in the meeting discussing like we are discussing now, and I take every meeting needs to be minuted. But because there was no secretary considering the high-level meeting it was, I don't know if there were somebody that was tasked to take the minutes. And in this case, I would have expected the Chief of Staff to have taken the minutes, but yes, it was said in that meeting.
According to the words you used, the Chief of Staff was part and parcel of the meeting. He was actively engaging, if I can understand, because you said the Chief of Staff and Sabia were adamant. So he can't be player and referee, he can't be taking notes and being part of the minutes at the same time.
My expectation, because he's the only administrator in the minister's office, he was supposed to take notes so that he can advise the minister that you have given these orders, it is a due date and the report has not yet been forwarded.
Yes.
And him participating in the meeting, I said earlier, it happened, but it was unusual.
I just wanted to ask, so you're saying that his involvement in the meeting was unusual, there's no one taking minutes, and you're describing now as a very, high-level meeting.
That's correct.
That sounds very out of the ordinary. Did you question it at the time that something's out of place?
It was out of place because expectation from me personally, is that as a Chief of Staff, if I am with the Chief of Staff or the PA in my office or the staff officer, because in my level I have staff officer, I'm not expecting the staff officer to participate, but to take notes for the directorate so that there is a follow-up and implementation of orders.
General, I think we're in agreement there, definitely. What I do want to ask you, General, if immediate means instantly and without a delay, and we've had many engagements on this, who authorized the gradual demobilization process instead of the instant implementation? Who was the person pushing that agenda with the gradual demobilization?
Project manager and the project office, and in this
Then-
case, it's NOC. General Kumalo was the project manager. He was supposed to draft the new DMOP, and that will then come to the National Operational Center where all operations or interventions are being managed.
Sorry, I just need to get to my next question. You questioned the authenticity of the directive. And you, again, previously alluded to 36 years of experience. Before issuing the internal instructions in relation to the directive, did you formally verify its authenticity? As you state, you questioned it. Was there a verification process?
Yes, I did.
And when you state that the chief of, sorry, I apologize. You state it became clear that the intention was to remove SAPS from the borders and transfer functions of the BMA, and that you had serious reservations and that the proposal could not be implemented. Excuse me. You mentioned various meetings and platforms, but who specifically were communicating the intention to remove this stuff? So you were having these meetings on all these platforms. Who is communicating the removal of SAPs on the borders as you state in paragraph 31 of your supplementary?
I
Again, who
believe-
is the main driving force?
Okay. I believe my reference there is that my observation of what went into the discussion as and when the issue was gaining momentum with the subsequent meetings where I was directed to compile now the plan of finding solutions between border management authority and border policing, which is the a component under the division and my directorate. That is where I have
No,
this-
General, that I understand. I'm asking who specifically was.
the form of meeting, the way the discussion that went into it, and the fact that in one instance where I was presenting the plan that was done, consolidated plan between multiple agencies that are involved. There was another plan that was presented, and precisely in that one, it was talking to the transfer of functions.
Right,
So
who
if you are
presented that
saying you
plan?
transfer functions and the budget that SAPS is having at border management must go to BMA, it simply says to me in my own observation and experience that it's because you don't want the police to be here.
No.
So it must not have been said verbatim, but.
No, that
the
I can
actions-
understand, I can agree. Who submitted that plan and under whose
BMA?
authority?
BMA?
Did you formally record any serious reservations in writing to this plan?
Yes.
And if you believe that such a proposal could not lawfully be implemented, what concrete steps have you taken to prevent it?
Prepared the presentation, we consulted the lawyers, I think Dr. Maga that is sitting here with me. I was working with her as our head of the policies in the police. We presented in different structures, including the ministers and portfolio committee on the same. And that stance was very clear that it is not going to be viable option to be taken. And the work study that was conducted as well was presented to me as the directorate holder that this is not a viable option.
Thank you, General. I'm going to close now. In your supplementary statement, and I'm giving a brief overview, you characterize the directive as a political interference, and it affected SAPS, and it affected the constitutional mandate. Yet in the original statement, you confirmed you processed and implemented the directive, or at least the planning thereof. While acting as a national commissioner, and it's just a simple yes or no answer, do you believe it was lawful at the time?
It was unlawful.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm concluding.
Thank you so much. Honorable Skosana, your hand was up. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to raise the matter that it looks like now it's a norm, Chair, that people are asking to leave. And when we started with an oomph, that we stay here, all of us as members. Because we have other matters as well at the party level. But we dedicate our time here, Chair, that we're going to stay in this committee. And indeed, I was not even aware that the honorable member after Honorable Brettenbach is going to be the next one. Maybe because I was outside, Chair. But indeed, I think we have to really revisit this issue of excuses, or whether it depends who the witness is, I'm not sure. Thank you, Chair. Honorable Nompalo.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. I just want to echo what Honorable Skosana is saying, but also we want to express our dissatisfaction in the manner in which you are choosing to approach this thing, because there is an established practice in this committee, and the honorable members who have taken our time in terms of rotation know that, because Honorable Breitenbach usually approaches us. She comes to us when she wants to leave early. She speaks with us before she comes to you. Now, today we are seeing a new thing where we are being ambushed. People are just coming in like flies. without even making an indication to us that they would want to speak first. So you are breaching your own practice that you established for this committee, Chair, and we're not taking that lightly. I'm saying this not with an intention of undermining their schedules or their commitments. I know for a fact that myself and Honorable Klopper and Honorable Breiterbach sit in one committee, and today we are having declarations in the House. But I managed with my party to make arrangements because I prioritize the work of this committee. So if people, when it suits them, are going to prioritize the work of the National Assembly and compromise this work on the basis that they are going to be given preference in terms of rotation, then it means we are also entitled to do that. So, Chair, we don't like how we are treating this. You have a discretion as a chair, but we think you have exceeded your discretion. We must be approached as parties in terms of rotation to say there are speakers who have requested to come before you, or even direct those parties because they know to say, go and speak to your colleagues first, and we agree or we don't agree, not to be just ambushed like this. So we're expressing our dissatisfaction. We hope it does not happen in the near future. Thank you.
Except to say that they come like flies, for sure. You could have said it in a better way. The point that you make is valid. The honorable members, unfortunately to us before you arrived, they have recorded apologies and the apologies were accepted. But I agree with the point that be that as it may, the honorable members could have informed you. Because I have said that, you see, I act out of benevolence where I'm sitting. And when a member requests to leave, I exercise my benevolence. But my understanding is that there is a customary practice that members talk amongst themselves, and I want to apologize on behalf of Honorable Klopper. He wouldn't have spoken if the chairperson did not allow him to speak. So do not shoot at him. If there are any shots that must be fired, let them be fired on me. The honorable member has not done anything wrong. He requested the chairperson, and in line with the apologies that were recorded in the morning before you arrived, Honorable Nombalo, we accepted their request, but that does not take away the point of emphasis that you have made. Honorable Kolabanat.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just to point out that the two members who are absent had arrangements during what they believed would be the lunch hour, not to disrupt any of the proceedings. Obviously, our lunch hour was disrupted somewhat with the early ending of the evidence leaders' time. Neither of them are presenting anything in the National Assembly, and of course, we have made alternative arrangements for their motions and statements to be presented. We would never disrespect this committee like that, like as has been proposed. That's simply incorrect. I would like to just correct that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, look, let's not make it a point of debate. The chair has taken full responsibility on behalf of all of you. I'm carrying the cross. I'm the Simon of Cyrene. So let's accept that the chair will carry the cross on our behalf. It's now 13:50. Are you able to finish at 5 minutes past 2, Honorable Sokanyile? And then we will break at that time. Just to apologize for the slight delay, General Mosikili.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Well, wasn't it, I've got some flu, man. General Mosikili, in paragraph 44, you indicate that there are items, some of your items or properties that were stolen in macro. They include cash that you had with you. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. Thanks,
How
Honorable.
much is it? The
10.
cash?
10,000.
That was the only amount of money that you had with you on that day.
Yes, it was the only amount.
Then the other items that we're talking about, the cell phone, the Pro Max, the bank accounts, they were taken at macro. How were you carrying them?
They were in a purse.
So you haven't written also a purse or a bag that it was also stolen.
Yes.
It seems as if someone picked the iPhone, a Pro Max iPhone, picked the access card, the bank cards, and the money. So you haven't written it in your statement.
Apologies if that is confusing, but it was in one small purse.
Okay.
I think I might have explained the type of a bag purse or the cosmetic bag that you will get in flight if you are flying in an aeroplane. They will give you smaller nyana purse. So everything was in that small purse, not in the whole handbag.
So it was not in the whole handbag.
It was not in the whole handbag. It was in that purse.
So it means that the money that you had, the 10,000, it's a lot of money for me. You prefer to use cash instead of a bank card.
I
when you
normally,
pay at macro.
no, I normally use the bank card, but I have traveled abroad a week or two before I went to macro. I have taken the S&T because I arrived late at the airport. I was unable to deposit the money nor to change it. So I had that money carried with me. When I came back abroad, I thought that is the 27th and I need a grocery. Before I consolidate all the claim that will indicate how much money I must send back to the department, I still have this one. I can use it. If I have shortages, it's month end, I will be able to pay. And I must say, when I was abroad, because I needed to use money and I can't use South African rands, I have requested a friend that I have cash with me, deposit when I come back, I'll give you this cash that I'm having. On my arrival back, she had a bereavement at home. And I said, I still have your cash. She said, if I get that money, you know how families are. They will think I have money. And after the funeral, I will not have anything because it's towards month end. You can use the money, then you will pay me later. So I use that money because I know it's the 27th. In few days, I will get my pay and I will pay back the money that is required. That is how the cash ended up in that
Ended
amount.
with you.
In that amount, I will have cash, but 10,000, I don't normally withdraw 10,000. It's a money that was coming from the trip that I undertook overseas. So normally I take cash and I will deposit in the account or exchange it to dollars. I was going to US.
So when did you withdraw that 10,000 amount?
Money was withdrawn as S&T, a brace and fair play in Africans. subsistence allowance. So the office, when they process what we call in the police a memo to travel, there will be an indication of the amounts for the hotel, the amounts for taxi, if you are to use the taxi, the amount for spending, because you must eat. You are presumed to be on duty because you are not at home. You are not expected to use your money to buy the groceries. So it is the amounts that you will get. It was more than 10,000, but I exchanged money and I was late to catch the flight. So I kept that money with me, hoping that when I come back, I will finalize the claim and see how much, because most of the time you will have either a shortage or you will have to get more money from the state depending on the spending. So what I did was to request a friend that I was not able to deposit. In US, you can't use rents. I had to use the card or a credit card. So they deposited into my account, and coming back, I was going to reimburse either the state or the person who have given me the cash. So that is how the 10,000 ended up with me. I kept it when I came back, and my colleague said, I've got a bereavement. Don't give me this cash because I have claimed the insurances. If they see that I have this one as well, by the time the funeral finishes, I'll still be having money. So I was that day, because I don't get enough time because of operations, I took advantage. And I must say, one issue that might have disturbed me is because I went to macro, I was still on the virtual meeting. So I took the small purse to put everything that I will need so that I am not overburdened in my hands when I'm doing my groceries.
Then you were unlucky because the money was taken.
I believe so, yes. I became the victim, yes.
Who became the victim? Okay, in paragraph 49, you talk about IPIT being in possession of not yet finalized docket. What legal action did you take about that?
It's not about the legal action, but if the matter was reported to the police, and in this case, when they came to me, I then became aware that they are in possession of the primary docket, which is the docket where I opened the case, where I am the victim of theft. So they were in possession of that docket, plus the docket that they have registered when they received the complaint. So the mention of this docket on paragraph 49, it's on the primary theft docket, which is not on the mandate of IPIT to investigate. This is solely investigation that must be conducted by the police investigative unit. And IPIT, in pursuance of their complaints that they were following up, they took that docket. Hence, they were able to finish me with the statements that are in the primary docket.
Why I'm asking why you didn't take a legal action towards IPIT, because you are saying that that was unconstitutional, unlawful, and unprecedented for them to have that unfinalized docket. To me, I thought you should take action against them.
I did not take action against them. I only complained. I think now that you are saying it, I think one will have to look at it. But I take they are also investigation a body. They are authorized to investigate, but this is not their mandate of investigating a theft docket. So having the docket that is not in their purview for me was depriving me of the right to have my matter being finalized. But yes, I agree that I should have dealt with the matter otherwise, even to complain to the head of IPIT that your officials are having the docket, I did not do.
So did the National Commissioner direct Major Sibola to oversee the investigation in your matter. That one of your things being stolen at Macro, whatever.
I don't see where the National Commissioner or General Sibula are coming in this case, because investigation is at the investigation unit. IPIT is doing the investigation of the case that they are pursuing. There is the process of loss management. It's not the investigation, it's a loss management, and it's done by other body. There is administration that is dealing with that. So in my case, in my experience in the police, the Office of the National Commissioner will not get involved in the investigation. At the end of the day, he's the final.
IPIT.
He is the final arbiter. Why will he even begin to have or entangle himself in the investigation of any matter? It's unfortunate that
The
that
IPIT?
fact, it's not the National Commissioner, it's IPIT, and IPIT has its IPIT head. Their investigations are supposed to be done and concluded at IPIT. They are independent to the National Commissioner. That is why there is a head of IPIT.
So there was no investigation that a national commissioner gave General Sibula to investigate.
Maybe National Commissioner will indicate, but in my view, National Commissioner will not summon any investigation. It's not in his right or in the right of that office. As the final arbiter of any other matter in the police, why will he in his office investigate? What will happen? It's the office that is discharged with the loss management, and loss management office, it's not Sibula as well.
Then the issue of the three statements that you made, that in fact, why is the IP would allege that you made three contradictory statements?
It's IPIT saying that, and I said earlier, I dispute three statements. I did not make three statements. I deposed the statement immediately after the incident. Investigators requested me to give a clarity on the statement. I submitted a supplementary statement. Both statements are in the docket and they were kept in the docket. The third statement they presented is the copy of the first statement and is the statement or the report that was meant for loss management. It was not the statement. So them saying its allegations are incorrect to say I have deposed three statements. I did not. And I will dispute that I have given three statements. I did not.
Themselves that are regarding as three statements.
It's allegations that were said, yes, that there are three statements. I know of two statements in the docket, in the main docket, only two statements, not three.
But why should they want to pursue a case against you if the information before them was inaccurate?
I will not know. Maybe IPIT could explain that.
Don't you think their action raises eyebrows? It had an ulterior motives. Don't you think so?
That is what I am thinking, because even finalizing the matter is not getting to finalization. So for me, it's the card that somebody is holding. So should I want to move, they will say, but.
You have got this.
That's how I am feeling. I don't know, but how you said how what I think. I think that is what is happening, because if I have a case, it should have been investigated. I mean, we have timelines in finalizing cases.
Thank you so much.
Believe that
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's now 5 minutes after 14 hours. Yeah, 15 minutes have ended. Well, it's now time to break. It's 5 minutes past 2. We are going to break for 35 minutes. And then we come back at 22:03. The next speaker there will be either Honorable Skosana or Honorable Nomvalo. They will indicate.